There is something that I would like to address today that I have been noticing in the spaces such as therapy and, for example, online contents that gives advices on personal development is that there seems to be often assumptions of if, for example, someone does this or does that, then it's because of this or that from this behind the scenes in their psychology. However, while these kind of assumptions can be helpful because when we study a lot on therapies, on human psychology, of course, we are studying about people's observations on the common human patterns. When we are too much into this, as in this ultimate truth, let's say, then we might be losing the nuances of each person's unique journey. And it can be risky because if, for example, you're trying to understand why you have a certain avoidant tendency, let's say in relationships, and then you read somewhere, oh, it's because of XYZ in your childhood, then you might look at it, okay, this sounds logical, then it must be true. If you do this, or if, let's say, your therapist do this, what happens is that you or your therapist might be bypassing the real situation that is happening within you. What this means is that just because something sounds logical and is observed in many different scenarios doesn't automatically mean that it will be applicable for your situation, your case. So, how can you really discern and understand if this is really your truth or not? Is that when you use your body to understand how you truly feel about it. So, I'll give you an example. As someone who has been learning about therapies for 2 years and also as someone who has had therapy sessions as a client, what I can tell you that sometimes some therapists that I had with me, they would say that, oh, is it because you're doing this? Are you doing this because you actually, there's this pattern behind and etc. And I can tell you that when something feels true, when something is truly my reality, it will elicit emotions and sensations within me that are really obvious. So, for example, imagine that I feel socially anxious when I go to events. And then the therapist say, oh, are you feeling this because you are actually judging yourself? You're actually not accepting yourself and etc. And while this might be true for many people, for me, if it doesn't resonate, my body would really not feel anything. Like it's like indifferent. But if it truly resonates, the anxiety might amplify. I might feel this more tension with my shoulders, on my chest, on my neck. And like I would just really feel it more obviously than, okay, this actually resonates. But you see, many people, if they are new to therapy and if they are not doing some sort of somatic approach when they are having a therapy session, which is like very common in psychology sessions that we just often just talk and don't really go to our body, then it might be harder for people who are not familiar with this work to actually go to this level of depth in the body. So this is actually very important. And I would recommend for people to actually, if they want to do a deeper inner work and have a deeper understanding of themselves, to actually start to tune more into their body. And one thing that is really life-changing for me is the Vipassana meditation. So that this meditation you go to a 10 days course that actually is free, because the whole worldwide association that is giving out these courses, they are entirely run on volunteers, because they really value this and want humanity to, really have this as help. So Vipassana meditation is the meditation in which you learn how to observe what is happening inside, like what sensations I'm really feeling. And by then, you gain more sensitivity within your body and understand how you're really feeling. And I can tell you that ever since I learned about this, like now everything becomes clearer, louder. It's like a Christmas tree within my body. And this is actually very helpful, because now I can be more in tune and understand what truly resonates or not. But of course, not everyone can go this deep or disappear for 10 days, right? So, what I would recommend people to do, like start small, is to start to slow down in their daily lives in different moments. Just breathe in, breathe out, like take a moment and take a deep breath. Like, oh, I actually remembered to take a deep breath. Like, let's say that, oh, I just get out of work right now, and then I just want to make a tea for myself. Just take a deep breath. And then slow down and feel the moment. And then, for example, whatever you're doing, let's say that you are drinking a tea or eating something or taking a shower, you start to pay attention to your five senses. Like, how does this food taste like? What does the shower feels like? The warmth, the temperature, and how it feels like in my body, how pleasurable it might feel like to have water running on my body. And you start to pay attention to these sensations. And now you're bringing in more and more awareness on your body. Because you see, many people in modern society, we are always running. We are always having a checklist, to-do list that we keep in mind. But it's very hard for us to, slow down, don't walk so fast, or, enjoy the shower without any distraction. Like just feel the sensation of it. Don't think about the checklist. And just practicing this can already help you getting more and more in tune into your body. So, although even if you are not familiar with somatic work, it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot have a somatic approach when doing therapy. For example, years ago, before I was familiar with this modality of therapies or any therapies at all, I was with a psychotherapist, and she, at some point after me sharing about my childhood, sharing about my life, a few sessions after, she started to help me, guide me. Like, for example, remember this situation in your past and remember how you feel when you were like this. And immediately, even if I'm not fully aware, my body would already remember how it felt in those kind of moments. And then she would say, okay, you feel all this tension, you feel that you cannot move from this situation because you have to be the good girl. But right now, I invite you to maybe move however you like, maybe stand up, like just do anything. And just by this, she was actually working with my body. And then it actually helped me unlock a certain memory that was stuck in my body. So our emotions, they are stuck in our bodies, in different parts of our bodies, but we don't really realize it because we are often just paying attention to our mind, to what we seem to feel, but then we are not really paying attention to the nuances that are happening in our bodies. So when someone works with our bodies by inviting us to act in a different way when we remember a certain situation. It is already changing our emotions and memories with a certain situations. And this is actually the first time that I came across somatic approaches in therapy. And of course, like then sometime later, I actually learned it by myself about Vipassana, about other things. And then I went to awareness facilitator school and learned a little bit more for 2 years. So this is very important because for us to guide and also be guided in therapies, we have to be careful of what is it that truly resonates and what doesn't. Because when something doesn't really resonate as the truth, it can actually hinder our growth and our inner work process. Because if I am to adopt a certain truth or logic just because it sounds logical, now I am assuming this might be true and I'm not actually going deeper with what is actually my true pattern. So this is very important to have your sense of self and to lead yourself and not fully, just delegate this responsibility to your therapist can make a lot of difference in your success and in the results that you get in therapies. So my name is Monica and I hope that this can be interesting and helpful. And if you want to know more and hear more about different topics, really, manifestation, spirituality, personal development, relationships, stay tuned for the next week's episode.